Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome to today's program. We have a great show for you today, and we want to tell you how much we appreciate each and every one of you being there with us here on today's program, being here with us on today's program. We're going to get our Thursday night broadcast on satellite. We're going to get that settled down, and if you're watching on Thursday night, just please make note. We'll be talking about where we'll be the next week. This will not affect the Outdoor Channel viewers, certainly not, but we will be getting our Thursday night broadcast calmed down and on One Bird here shortly. That's our hope. Anyway, we're so glad to have you, and you know I'm holding the great M1A from Springfield, and we do want to thank the good people at Springfield for loaning us this gun. But you know, friends, the government does not trust you and I to own guns like this. So now we can't buy this gun new from the factory. There are a few still out there in the pipeline, and I imagine that they're gaining some premium prices, because for now there won't be any more. And I say for now because you know what? If enough of us get together and enough of us can change our representation in Washington, be it U.S. representatives, U.S. senators, and yes, the President of the United States. And boy, let me tell you what, that needs changing in a hurry, and I can hardly wait until election time. But we can change these people, and you know, maybe we can get this idiotic semi-automatic provision in this ridiculous crime bill. Maybe we can get that repealed, and that's going to be one of our efforts. And what we have to do, we can't let them go any further. We've got to stop them from taking away any more of our rights to own, to keep, to enjoy firearms. You know, I promise you that people like Dianne Feinstein and those people, probably Sarah Brady, some of these people that are so anti-gun, I promise you that they've never been in a situation where a lot of us have been. They've never been, let's say that a couple of husky men held them down. One of them held them while the other one abused them. All right, they haven't experienced that. And you know what? For these ladies out here watching the show, they don't care about your welfare. They really don't care. They don't care whether or not you can protect yourself from being brutalized. They haven't been in a home where it was attacked by a gang of people and literally they had to hide. They haven't experienced that. So a lot of us in this country, though, have experienced it. And you know what? If you're well armed, you can take care of yourself and your family, because you'll have to. The police will not be there when the crime happens. They'll only come later and investigate. So we've got to be able to protect ourselves. And yes, that final thing, the reason they want these guns, because semi-automatic rifles figure in much less than 1% of all crimes committed with guns. Why would they be so anxious to get these semi-automatic rifles away from us? Well, guess what? Because an individual who is well armed and dedicated with guns like this, and there are some others as we're going to see today, can literally stand his ground against a totalitarian police force, a well-organized militia, which in fact is in the past it has been the adult male population, and now it's probably going to include some females. I think it ought to. The militia ought to include men and women, because there are some women out there, believe me, that I would be very pleased to have on my side in any kind of a scrape. I promise you that. Anyway, it's the citizens. It's not the government. It's not the National Guard. It never was intended to be. It is, in fact, the citizens of this country. And yes, we can make a stand if we have to. We can do a lot of things if we have to. And what we've got to do now, we've got to impress upon some of these people that are marginal that they're going to have to come home and go back to work. They don't want to do that, because today in our country, the new royalty in the United States is, in fact, in the House of Representatives, the Senate, also in some of the elected positions in government. Yes, that's the new royalty. And they think, apparently, that they're beyond being reached by us, the decent citizen. Well, they're wrong. They're wrong, and we're going to show them that. So, anyway, we need you to join the Shootin' Show Gun Club if at all possible. It helps us stay on the air. It helps us do a lot of things that are so important, not only for this program, but for our country. Well, let's open today's program, but instead of taking our M1A here, let's use some technology that's, well over 100 years old. This single action, like I said, technology that's well in excess of 100 years old, hey, still works today. You know, friends, let me continue from my intro there. You saw what a explosion we had in our water jug from this. This happens to be a Ruger Vaquero 45 Colt. Well, the good news is that Corbon, the reason that jug blew up like it did was I was shooting some of the new Corbon ammunition. And as you can see here, it has that flying ashtray hollow point in that particular load, and that Corbon load exits this gun. We timed it earlier today at an average of 1,130 feet per second. Well, that's 550 plus foot-pounds of energy, which makes the 45 Colt in a factory loading for the first time the equivalent energy-wise of the better 357 Magnum loads, plus it's a lot bigger hole. So let's take a look. We've got a standard old lead 45 Colt load that's been in use just forever. And let's see what it does here. Just take a look at on our water bottle. Well, didn't disturb it too much. Yeah, it's got a leak. But let's try the same drill now. Same volunteer water bottle. Bear with me here. Okay, same drill. And that was shot with the standard 45 Colt, 250 or 255, whatever it was. Now then, let me step back just a little bit. Here's the same drill, and all we did here in our Vaquero is just change to Corbon. This is a 200 grain jacketed hollow point in 45 Colt. Now, the 45 Colt historically has been somewhat of, certainly since in smokeless powder days, been somewhat of a slow moving bullet. But let's see the difference. Same drill. Okay, I rest my case. So this Corbon ammunition, friends, I keep telling you, the Corbon is the very best factory ammunition. I mean, day in, day out. We've had tremendous consistency, and if you need ammunition that you're literally going to trust your life with, the quality of your ammunition, well, please consider Corbon. In fact, we'll give you their phone number and how to get information and where you can get it later on in the program. But I tell you what, it works. Well, friends, since we're talking about 45s, here's another little gun that I think you really would like to see. This is the tremendous American Derringer Alaskan survival model, and it's in 45-70. Yeah, I did say 45-70 in one barrel. The other barrel is 45 Colt. Now, our Corbon ammunition, even out of this little bitty gun here, exits the barrel on this gun, this new Corbon we just showed you, at about 1,050, 1,075 feet per second. So tremendous performance even from this Derringer. And in the smaller 45 Derringers, they still break, the Corbon breaks 800 feet per second, which really puts it in the full size as 45 ACP performance category. But we thought you'd like to see this. And of course, this works just like the other Derringers. It has a non-fluted barrel situation here. And this barrel is the 45-70, and this one's a 45 Colt. So this is one of the most unique guns, and we have fitted it with the oversized grip from American Derringer. And then, friends, here we have the 45-70. Of course, here's our Corbon 45 Colt right here. But we just thought we'd show you just the remarkable difference in the two shells there. We're going to go ahead and load our Alaskan survival model here from American Derringer, and we'll swing it shut, lock it in place, and of course, in fact, now we'll lock it in place. Now that we have our safety on, of course, that's the first thing we did. We had our safety in place before we ever loaded the gun. So let's take a look at it in action. Hello, friends. I'm out here practicing for one of the most fun hunting sports that you can imagine. You can use a variety of action types. You have access to year-round hunting, some cases no limits, and you get to use a variety of guns. Well, you know what I'm talking about is a sport of varmint hunting. And we need to introduce you folks to varmint hunting. A lot of us have been doing it for years and didn't know what to call it, but we especially need to introduce you to the Varmint Hunter magazine.
You know, friends, varmint hunting is one of the fastest growing shooting sports in the world. In fact, the Varmint Hunters Association, they have members in all 50 states and 19 foreign countries. Now, their magazine focuses on varmint hunting and super accurate reloading and shooting techniques. Plus, there's a lot of humor, a lot of interesting cartoons and humorous articles in the magazine. Incidentally, the magazine is large, it's very high quality, and something I think you're really going to enjoy reading, and it's published quarterly. It's only $24 for an associate membership in the Varmint Hunters Association. And look, for information, now you ought to do this. If you're a dedicated shooter, this is something I think you're really going to enjoy. For information on the Varmint Hunter magazine and the Varmint Hunters Association, call them at 1-800-528-4868. Again, 1-800-528-4868. Be sure and tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show.
My friends, let me let you see this 45/4570 Derringer in action here. These are such well-made and strong guns. This is not going to be a gun for everyone because a recoil with the 4570 is pretty severe, but I tell you what, it could be awfully comforting if a grizzly bear was biting you and you needed something to get his attention and need him to think about something else entirely. Well, let's shoot the 45 barrel with the new carbine loading first. Let's just see what it looks like. Okay, it performs extremely well. That 45 Colt barrel, especially with that carbine ammunition. Like I said, performs like a full-size gun. Okay, now then, let's go to our 4570 barrel and we'll let you watch it. Woo! Yeah, you don't want to come out here all day with it, but I tell you what, for performance when you desperately need it, performance when it counts, I'll tell you what, I don't see how that could be surpassed, certainly for its size.
You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Carbine Ammunition, Carbine Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Carbine ammunition. For information on where you can get Carbine, information on their product line, call them. Carbine Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one. Carbine is the best there is. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Friends, we're going to go to Washington, D.C. now with a good friend of ours, one of our gun club members, William Carter, from down in Greenburg, Louisiana, and he was nice enough to take his camera along to the gun rights rally. We're going to show you a few things, a few of the speakers, and we think it turned out really well. We had some really impressive speakers up there. We appreciate everyone who was able to go. We certainly thank William for his time and effort in getting us some of this tape footage.
That was the way this country was settled. I want to read to you, I just looked up this morning, the first written constitution in this new world. It was called the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. See how much Connecticut might compare to what these folks wrote back then in the mid-17th century. This is the way it starts, word for word. For as much as it has pleased the Almighty God by the wise disposition of His divine prudence, so to order and dispose of things And well knowing where a people are gathered together, the Word of God requires that to maintain the peace and union of such a people, there should be an orderly and decent government established according to God, to order and dispose of the affairs of the people and at all seasons, as occasion shall require. Do for ourselves and our successors, and such as shall be adjoined to us at any time hereafter, enter into a combination and confederation together to maintain and to preserve the liberty and purity of the gospel of our Lord Jesus, as also the discipline of the churches, which according to the truth of the said gospel is now practiced amongst us.
Right now I'd like to introduce the greatest assault weapon in this country. Bill Clinton's pen signing away our rights. Time after time after time. That is an assault weapon that we cannot let go on.
My name is Captain Thomas Malky, United States Army retired. In my state of Florida, my legislators tried to ban my ugly, black, semi-automatic militia rifle. This flag I carried to the Capitol steps in Tallahassee, and I flew it there. Every white streamer you see on it was a peaceful gun rally. But there's one on there that's black. It's black because my congressman voted to ban militia rifles. It's coming down today, and I don't ever want to see it go up again. Thank you.
But you don't have to look at history to see the value of a well-armed citizenry. Look around the world today. Americans have had to come to the rescue of poor people in Somalia, the people who did not have sufficient arms to defend themselves from people in power who did. We are debating coming to the aid of people in Bosnia. They don't have sufficient arms to defend themselves from the artillery shells raining down upon them. Look at the situation in Rwanda and Haiti. We may have to go to the rescue of people who don't have the means to defend themselves from their own government. When are we going to learn?
We need to rescue America!
When are we going to learn that we will hang on to our freedom in this land of ours for only so long as we have the courage to hang on to our guns?
There's three ways to protect the people against tyranny: the ballot box, the jury box, and the cartridge box. I think he missed one box. It's called the soap box. We're here using that today as well. I'm here today to talk about how we can use the jury box to protect that very important but last resort box, the cartridge box. I want to start with a quote from Thomas Jefferson. "I consider trial by jury to be the only anchor ever yet imagined by man by which a government can be held to the principles of its Constitution." Amen. Now, if you know anything about the way American criminal jury trials work today, you must wonder what he was talking about. Judges routinely do three things to hamper jury power today. First thing is, if, for instance, you're accused of the crime of owning the wrong kind of weapon, or purchasing the wrong kind of weapon, or using a weapon for self-defense, the judge will ask the jury during the jury selection period whether you disagree with that law or not.
Treason! Treason!
If you say you disagree with the law and you say you can't convict someone on basis of conscience, so somebody who's exercising their lawful, natural right to self-defense, that judge will remove you from the jury and say you're stricken for cause.
Can you hear me?
Yeah!
I was talking to Congress. You know, I really don't like having to be here today, but I have to be. Over the years, there have been many things that I didn't like doing, but I did them anyway because I just knew that I had to. In 22 years in the Air Force, as a fighter pilot,
instructor pilot, and test pilot, I can tell you there were plenty of those things. For example, during one 3-year tour of duty in England, I was confined on alert, ready to run out to my fighter and go to war for a total of 6 months of that tour. I faced deployments to Korea, Turkey, and a war in Southwest Asia. When I returned from my last overseas tour to retire near Austin, Texas, I was shocked at what had happened in the United States. I was shocked at the slanted news coverage and the incredible posturing of certain politicians. The assault on our Second Amendment rights was the deciding factor in motivating me, once again, to take on the unpleasant duty of fighting for our rights. So here I am, proudly standing before the members of the unorganized militia. Don't let that word unorganized bother you one bit. Our patriot forefathers were unorganized as well when they fired the shot heard round the world and sent the British scurrying. And the reason that they assembled and fired those first shots was that the redcoats were marching to seize colonists' weapons. If anyone wants total control of a people, the people must first be disarmed. Congress is now marching upon us. What we are involved in today, the reason we are here, is not about crime, is not about safety, is not about gangs, and is not about hunting. We are here because of the greatest power struggle in this nation's history since the Revolutionary War. There are those here in Washington, D.C. who hunger for more and more power, who want to take away more and more of our God-given liberties and take control over more and more aspects of our private lives. They want to control your children's education. They want to take control of the entire healthcare system in this country under the guise of reform. They want to control your private property, claiming environmental considerations. The Clinton administration's push for the healthcare reform is nothing less than an enormous socialistic grab for power. They want the federal government to take over 1/7 of the U.S. economy. Friends, if they succeed in taking over 1/7 of our country's economy, they will have succeeded in taking over the entire economy. Instead of reporting news, facts are twisted and or ignored, false statistics are reported as fact, and the gun-hating agenda is carried into every living room in this country as the slickest propaganda campaign since the Nazis of 1937. Crime control is just a smokescreen. It's the same smokescreen used by the Nazis to frighten the German public in those times. The same technique is being used today. The gun haters are trying to frighten America with trumped-up crime statistics, then offer a false solution of gun prohibition as a cure. It worked fine in Germany. We cannot let it happen here.
Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923.
The right of we, the people, to keep and bear arms is the cornerstone of our American heritage. Stand and be heard. stand and be seen when someone asks you, who could possibly want to own firearms? You can stand with me and say, we the people! We the people! We the people! We the people! We the people!
Make no mistake about why we are here. We're here in a moral struggle to preserve our freedom and the freedom of our children. Therefore, all of you, everyone, is a freedom fighter.
Amen.
Biggest in the world. You have shown that you understand that the First Amendment can be used to preserve the Second Amendment.
Amen.
And our founding fathers knew that it was the other way around as well. I talk to people all the time who are constantly under the threat of government intrusion. They see the assaults on their liberty, and they know that just as a clipper chip is an invasion of their privacy, those of you know what I'm talking about. Pay attention. The clipper chip is an invasion of our privacy, and tax reform is a must. Because we're tired of seeing the money that we earn to put food on our tables and a roof over our head spent to buy votes. And we see health reform as a threat to our liberty.
President Clinton doesn't think that the average patriotic, law-abiding American can be trusted to own a long list of guns which he is trying to ban. If President Clinton doesn't trust us, can we really afford to trust our president? I ask you seriously, can we really afford to trust our president? Do you really think that our enemies won't keep trying to expand President Clinton's gun ban list over time until virtually all guns are banned from private ownership? Today's registration is tomorrow's confiscation. And in spite of what the politicians tell you to the contrary, you better believe it. It's happened before and it will happen again.
We want to thank William again for going and letting us use some of this tape footage. Friends, it looked like it was a great rally, and that's what's got to happen. We have got to rally if we're going to save our rights, if we're going to save our families' rights, if we're going to save our country. And we are so appreciative of the people who did go, the people who could go, and the stand that they made.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Well, you know, friends, you recognize Donna here, and of course we have her on the show about as much. Donna has a job for someone else, but she's so nice to come and help us on occasion, and we've had some requests for from some of our viewers out there to see Donna doing some more shooting because they felt like you were a good role model for a lot of women. I think that's true.
And ladies and gentlemen, we've had some faxes. I've had a little bit of mail, and I appreciate it coming in. And I'm going to try to do some more shooting and continue to be a role model for you ladies.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, the most important thing is what we need to communicate to so many of these women out here in our audience is that, yes, you can, in fact, protect yourselves. You can learn to do it. This is something that we've got to get more women involved in this project. Incidentally, the Soldier Fortune Convention is coming up. We'll be talking about that later on in the program. But that is going to be a great thing. Friends, if you can possibly get out to Las Vegas between the 14th and the 18th at the Sands Hotel, we're going to have a booth there in the convention center, and please come by and see us. Again, the Shootin' Show Gun Club members get a 10% discount on your entrance fee for the convention. You get $1 off on the admission fee to the convention floor. And trust me on this one, if you've never been to an exhibition like the SOF convention, it is something so many of us will really enjoy. And you will see entire families. You'll see kids and husbands and wives, and because it's really something that, I tell you what, maybe the safest convention you'll ever go to. But Ashley, you like that cowboy gun there, Donna?
Well, I don't know anything about it. I want you to tell me about it.
Well, it's a Ruger Vaquero, and that's one of whether you have a single action or a double action or a semi-automatic, whatever, the ladies can handle these things. So we're going to continue doing more things for women. Certainly the ladies like to see it, and the men are all curious anyway. So anyway, just hang in there with us. We've got a lot more in store.
Now, friends, what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at our SKS, and yes, this one, of course, has the choked machine and tool synthetic stock, which I personally really like. We do appreciate those good folks sending us these things for our program. Now, this gun, of course, is no longer able to be imported from China. Mr. Clinton and his crowd have decided that, no, we don't need more of these in circulation. Well, they're very fine guns. The SKS rifle, of course, is the 10-round fixed magazine, 7.62 by 39 cartridge, which is roughly similar. I'm not going to say equivalent because it's not. It begins to be equivalent maybe out at 100+ yards, but the 30-30 is a little more powerful within most of the ranges we would ever shoot these guns. It's, let's say, comparable to a 30-30 in our garden variety Winchester lever action here. And of course, this is model 94 from 1894. And Jeff Cooper has said for some time that really he thought that the lever action 30-30 or something like this, maybe the same gun in Marlin or in Winchester for that matter, in 44 Magnum or 357 Magnum, 41 Magnum, 45 Colt, whichever you choose, is a very viable home defense, even a police gun. I think that the average person would have a tendency to maybe aim a little better. You don't have as many shots at your disposal. This particular gun holds 6 in the magazine underneath, but also here on the lever action, now this is an advantage that a lot of us haven't thought about. On the SKS, of course, you cannot top up your magazine anytime you feel like it. Now, with a detachable magazine gun, you can, of course, change magazines. But here on the old 94, guess what? You can have the gun and battery, have one in the chamber, and due to this little piece here from Uncle Mike's that holds ammunition, which goes here on the stock, you can shoot 3, 4, 5 times and then literally top off the magazine between shots, which is not something that it certainly could be useful to us, because honestly, I can't imagine a situation, a defense situation, if I had one of these guns and certainly had one of my pistols to back it up in case I needed more shots, in case I need a fast reload. I think I'd be comfortable about any situation that I can imagine as a citizen. The 30-30 has plenty of power within its usable range. It's a great deer gun out to say 150 yards. But where a lot of these guns would be used, especially for home defense, in fact, we'd have to talk about in some places we lived, the 30-30 would have far too much penetration for someone that lived in an apartment house. I'd recommend a shotgun. But if you want a rifle for defense, the 30-30 is a hard combination to beat. Now, we've done this little test before here on the program, but we're going to do it again today. We're going to remind you. Now, see, these folks in Washington, see, they want to take all of these semi-automatic guns away, and you know that they're eventually going to discover that we're just as well armed with, say, a lever action as we would be, and we're about to prove that, I think. But this gives us an alternative. In some places in the country, I understand now it's very difficult to even own a semi-automatic. California has already outlawed certain types of possession of semi-automatics. There are some cities that feel that way. Okay, if they want to be that way, all right. Go down and get you a lever action Winchester or lever action Marlin, because I'll tell you what, they're more potent than a lot of people believe. So, and don't worry, the government's going to come after these too, but we've got to stop them. We have our pro timer here from Competition Electronics. Let's run a little experiment. Let's take our SKS, which is a very fine representation of a semi-automatic rifle. And let's get out here at about 10 yards on our targets. And let's make 3 aimed shots. And by aimed, I mean they've all got to be in that circle. So let's take a look at that. All right, friends, we've got our targets out here at a few yards. And let's take our aimed shots. The timer will start me, and you know it'll stop on the last shot. And for those new viewers, people that aren't familiar with our program, that are tuning in for the first time, we always wear eye protection, and I do have some very fine gel hearing protectors in my ears, because I shoot several times a week shooting something, and believe me, if I didn't wear hearing protection, I wouldn't be able to hear at all. So, and I'd like to think my hearing's pretty good. So anyway, here we go. Take our SKS, load it, get in the low ready position, punch the timer. Okay, 1.50, and put our gun on safe. In fact, we're going to unload it. 1.54 seconds, which actually is a pretty good time for me. Maybe it's because it's so doggone hot. Ooh, it's hot. Yes, here in Louisiana, it does get hot. All right, we had 3 good hits here in the center. 1.54 seconds. All right, let's try the same drill, and no, I have not been down here practicing for this particular drill. Let's try the same thing with our lever action. Load it. Punch our timer, low ready position. Okay, 3 good hits. Here, here, 2 right there together. 1.87 seconds. It took me 1/10 of a second longer between shots with this lever action gun, and honestly, there are people, if you practice with these things and really get skill with them, I almost never shoot one. I'm going to start shooting one a lot more, but we're only 1/10 of a second or so away from the speed here with our semi-automatic. Now, as your ranges increase, your differences are going to be a lot smaller. So, friends, this may be the assault gun of the 90s. Hey, they persist in calling this, which is not an assault weapon, because assault weapons, by definition, must be capable of full auto fire. They'll be calling this an assault gun, but hey, we can get them while we can, and you can be darn well armed. If you have not been able to get an AR-15 or an SKS or one of the MAK series, hey, don't worry about it. Go down and get your lever action Winchester, whatever caliber you like, and you'll be well armed.
You know, friends, this Colt 45 or something equivalent, I think, is extremely important for self-defense. But let me tell you about another kind of defense. How about mental defense? We need to know what's going on in this country, and trust me on this one, there is no better publication to do that than the New American Magazine. It comes every 2 weeks, twice monthly, and of course they cover subjects that we need to know about. They cover all sorts of issues, from the gun issues to what's going on in Congress to all sorts of news items from all around this country and around the world for that matter. Things that are absolutely essential to us as conservative, gun-owning Americans. We need to know this. This is a tremendous bargain. It's $22 for a 6-month subscription. And I tell you what, friends, you'll read the New American, and you're going to get angry, you're going to get mad, but you'll also find out what you need to do. You're going to find out facts that you will not find in any other organized news media publication. But trust me on this one, These people, we know them, and if they say it, you can take it to the bank. It is, in fact, true. And that brings up their 800 number. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE, and those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on, and in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information. You know, friends, this Colt 45 or something equivalent, I think, is extremely important for self-defense. But let me tell you about another kind of defense. How about mental defense? We need to know what's going on in this country, and trust me on this one, there is no better publication to do that than the New American magazine. It comes every 2 weeks, twice monthly, and of course they cover subjects that we need to know about. They cover all sorts of issues, from the gun issues to what's going on in Congress to all sorts of news items from all around this country and around the world for that matter. Things that are absolutely essential to us as conservative, gun-owning Americans. We need to know this. This is a tremendous bargain. It's $22 for a 6-month subscription. And I tell you what, friends, you'll read the New American, and you're going to get angry, you're going to get mad, but you'll also find out what you need to do. You're going to find out facts that you will not find in any other organized news media publication. But trust me on this one. These people, we know them, and if they say it, you can take it to the bank. It is, in fact, true. And that brings up their 800 number. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE, and those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on, and in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information. Now, friends, we're looking at two of the finest small handguns that I'm aware of. These, of course, are from American Derringer Corporation. On your left, you have the Model 1, which is available in over 50 chamberings, and on the right is their double-action Derringer, which is very similar to the old high-standard design, except it's been modernized. This particular one is in the 38 special chambering. Now, friends, sometimes it's hard to have a large handgun with you, but you can always have one of these American Derringers. Call them 1-800-642-7817.
We knew we had to do something about our driveway, but conventional brick was just out of the question. Then our neighbor told us about faux brick, a new process that's being used all over the world. The representatives for faux brick are very nice and very professional. They showed us how easy and efficient faux brick is. The entire process takes less than a day. The cost is less expensive than conventional brick, and it lasts much longer. We did something about our driveway. We did the right thing. Faux brick.
Friends, this is such a neat process, such a neat idea. A lot of us could use this around our homes, and of course these folks work nationwide. That's Art Crete in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Forget how to say it or spell it, just call them. Their number is 318-352-6388. Again, call them about the faux brick there, 318-352-6388. Please tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, here we are. There's several things we need to talk about tonight, one of which is our Shootin' Show gun is actually in. We've gotten the first couple of them have actually come in. This is our Shootin' Show model Wesson 41 Magnum. Now, we've had a tremendous amount of interest from viewers on this particular gun, so several people, in fact, have already gotten in line for these. We will be making these available to our gun club members at somewhat of a discount. If you've got an FFL, send it to us, or we can send this to someone who can handle this locally with their FFL. Also, now this is really great. We appreciate the good folks at Wesson so much. This gun came in this afternoon as we're taping this on Tuesday, and I haven't had a chance to shoot it, but it is so pretty, so well finished and polished, and this is, in fact, our idea of, in my opinion, this is going to be the best all-around, do everything, hunt to self-defense to whatever, to shooting games gun for the disciplines that revolvers excel at. It's going to be one of the finest guns that's ever been built. Maybe just the best combination of everything that certainly I'm aware of that anyone has made. The good folks at Wesson have done this for us. Also, Corbon is making a special load, a 41 Magnum load, for our new shooting show model 41 Magnum from the Wesson folks. The Corbon load is 170 grain, 170 grain Sierra bullet, I think. That's a Sierra, but velocity of 1,275 to 1,300 feet per second, which is about a 3/4 strength load in the 41 Magnum. This ought to be this ought to be as good a defensive load for a handgun as money can buy. And we are excited. We do appreciate them so much, and it is so pretty, and we're really going to enjoy this. I think a lot of you are also going to really appreciate and enjoy these fine guns. One other little thing, we're working on our satellite location on Thursday night, and we've had a little difficulty. The people that we buy our Thursday night satellite time from sold a transponder that we're on. So we're going to be moving satellites here for a couple of weeks, so please pay attention with a pencil. On Thursday night, this will not affect the outdoor channel, but our Thursday night broadcast is going to be moving from satellite or transponder to transponder. On next week's program, as you're watching this on Thursday night, we're going to be on Galaxy C7 transponder 13, and that will be on the 8th of September on our Thursday night broadcast. Again, Galaxy C7 transponder 13, and that will be our standard time, because we think our time slot on Thursday night is very important. So as we're taping this will be next week's program on Thursday night satellite, will be again Galaxy C7 transponder 13. And if you do lose that, well, our operators will have that location. Most of you have our phone number. So, sir, what do you have for us this week?
Well, all my stuff got left in my car. My wife's car was broken into Friday night, and we haven't gotten it back yet, and consequently I don't have a separate automobile. And my wife drove off with my
with
my papers and so forth that I had. I wanted to give you another opportunity to find out about the report of the Senate Judiciary Committee, the subcommittee on the Constitution. You remember last week we found that one of our viewers had obtained a copy of it and had put it on computer and had printed it on 24-pound paper. It's a real good one, and counting postage, it's actually costing him $21 to print it and to mail it, but he said he would pick up the $1 if people want it for $20. It's well worth reading. It covers a tremendous history. I'm concerned now about papers you just gave me. It was Freedom Network News from U.S. News Report. This apparently is an independent group. I don't know who they are. Here they say that the editor is Leela, A-A-G-A-R-D, 406 Parkway in T-O-O-E-L-E, Tule, Utah, 84074. We've got a telephone number down here too, 801-882-1630. A couple of things. I just glanced at this. Johnny gave it to me a few minutes ago, and I think that there are two things that have just horrified me about it. Real quick, I just scanned it. but it said that here in Highland, Indiana, that dozens of police officers and civilian volunteers occupied the junior and senior high school in Highland, Indiana to search for drugs. Exits were blocked, and all 2,780 students were summarily ordered to sit with their books and purses and bags between their feet and their hands on their desks in plain view. Police had no search warrant. No students were ever advised of their rights. You know, that's only criminals that get advised of their rights. Plain, ordinary, honest citizens aren't accorded that privilege, and that really irks me. During the 3-hour raid, 16 drug-sniffing dogs examined every student. 4 junior high school students, all girls, were removed from their classes, stripped nude, and interrogated. Not one of them was found to possess any illicit material. This is outrageous, absolutely outrageous.
Well, Judge, don't you think that some of the local politicians and law enforcement people are taking their cue from what's going on in Washington, the liberal line?
Well, of course they're taking their cue from Washington. Washington is trying to terrorize people that don't want to just knuckle under and lie down and let the feds walk all over them. Here's a case in where, acting on a tip, quote, tip, that illegal drugs were being used in his house on the night of August 25th, 1992, heavily armed DEA agents broke down the front door of the home of a San Diego corporate executive. They were searching for drugs so they could seize his home. During the raid, he was shot 3 times and wounded. No drugs were found. For 6 weeks, he was kept alive by a respirator tube down his throat. He's now permanently disabled, and prosecutors refused to file charges against the police for that illegal search. Then the National Park Service wanted to buy Donald Scott's ranch to incorporate it into a surrounding park, and police lied about seeing marijuana on his property, and they came in force. Couldn't find anything, but managed to kill him in the process. Then there's another one here.
Well, what we're seeing is literally in little places all over America, average citizens are losing our constitutional rights. See, this is, someone said the other day that a dam doesn't break from a giant crevice. It starts with a trickle. A dike doesn't break by just a huge chunk coming out. It starts by a trickle. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing our rights literally trickling away, and the hole in the wall is getting bigger and bigger.
I don't think it's a trickle, Johnny. I think it's an out-and-out flood. Here it is in Fairbanks, Alaska. State Police and National Guard going around from house to house in armored personnel carriers, bristling with machine guns, intimidating the inhabitants into submitting to police searches of their homes, ostensibly for drugs or illegal guns. Now, there isn't such thing as an illegal gun. No such thing. The only illegal gun is one whose serial number has been obliterated. That is an illegal gun. Outside of that, no guns are illegal, even machine guns. There may be illegal possession of guns, but there is no such thing as an illegal gun. Now, the author says, I thought, is this America or some third world banana republic? That's exactly what we turned into. Let me tell you, our forefathers, our founders, realized that the evil and the mischief that government can do far exceeds the good that government can do. And consequently, in the words of Thomas Jefferson, they sought to bind down government with the chains of the Constitution. Now that we have a president of one political party and both houses of Congress controlled by that political party, you can see the pressures that are brought by the executive on the members of Congress and on the Senate. In Louisiana, for example, we have 2 senators who profess and have always in the past voted with gun owners, and they knuckled under this time and voted for the crime bill with with the gun bans that are in it and with the pork that's in it. The pork is for Democrats, of course. It is absolutely essential in this country that in these elections coming up in November that you elect at least one and probably both houses of Congress, the Senate and the House, with Republicans. even Republicans who you might disagree with, because when power is split, the president of one party and the houses of Congress, or at least one house of Congress controlled by the other party, then government cannot create as much mischief as it can otherwise. It is urgently necessary.
Now, you're talking about a steamroller effect, aren't you?
Absolutely. The gun ban, the crime bill, was defeated in the House until Clinton got on his horse and used his powers of the purse, discretionary funds. That's one of the most dangerous things can happen, is to give any government official discretionary funds. Where is my thing from Gun Owners of America?
I don't know. I thought I gave it to you.
Well, I got a fax from Gun Owners of America yesterday. He called, they said that last week was the darkest day in the history of America since its...
Go on, I'll get it. Hold it.
All right, since its creation and the adoption of the Bill of Rights. And I think that's probably true. I'm telling you, the mischief the government can create far exceeds any good that it can do. You've got to limit the powers of government. And our founding fathers understood this. They understood it because they had been oppressed. They'd been oppressed by England, and they knew history, and they understood history. Those who refuse to learn the lessons of history are condemned to repeat them.
Friends, you can communicate with the Shootin' Show on CompuServe now. Our number is 735-42-3024. Again, 735-42-3024. And to join our Shootin' Show Gun Club, call us at 1-800-895-7916. We take Visa, MasterCard, check, money order, whatever you got. Join today, friends. We need to reach as many people as we can. Friends, we're looking so forward to the Soldier Fortune Convention, and you can get information on the convention by calling 1-800-800-7630. Again, 800-800-7630. It's going to be at the Sands Hotel, and information for the Sands Hotel, call them, get a brochure, 1-800-634-6901. Again, 1-800-634-6901. Ask for their brochure. Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Shootin' Show.